All right, well, Chris from Warrior is already holding.
They're ready. Okay.
Chris, we appreciate you calling in, staying up late with us tonight, and giving us a call, if you will. Go right ahead with your question for Joy.
Okay. I was married on September 9th, 2017. She walked out on October the 10th, 2017. I have no clue of where she's living now. I know she's been in rehab twice, but that's all I know about her. So I'm trying to find out what I can do to serve her with divorce papers.
It's a very common question. The best thing for you to do is, of course, file the divorce, and you have to serve someone once you file that divorce. But the best way to try to get service on that person is probably going to be through publication. Publication is going to be your best option. That way, you're going to have to be able to publicize it by putting it in a newspaper, and letting it run for 4 consecutive weeks. Once it runs, then that will suffice as service to your wife. Hopefully, she reads the paper and she can respond that way. If she doesn't, that will still suffice to give you the service requirement that you need to move forward with that divorce.
Let me ask you a quick follow-up question to that. Let's say that she gets those papers and she says, I don't want a divorce.
She needs to respond.
Right.
She has to respond to that complaint. Typically, you have about 30 days to respond to a complaint.
Okay.
If you don't respond to that complaint in 30 days, then the husband can file a default. That default basically says that the person did not respond, and I would like to move forward with the proceeding of getting a divorce.
Okay, wonderful.
It sounded to me like they were married, I guess, and she stayed around for about a month.
Yeah.
So is there a time period, like, is it easier to get a divorce if it's, after a few days or a few months versus several years?
Time period doesn't really matter. There are some instances where you can do an annulment sometimes, but there are different grounds for the annulment. I'm not sure if this will stand as a ground for annulment, but even if it's 6 months or 6 years, that divorce still needs to be filed, and it's going to go through the same process. Now, typically after 10 years with someone, you're going to be entitled to some of their benefits, and that's something to remind yourself of, because you don't want to string this out longer than it has to be, because it happens a lot. People separate and they never get a divorce, and 10 years later, well, you're still entitled to whatever that retirement that spouse may have, each other's retirement. So you want to do those things sooner than later.
Wonderful.
Yikes. Okay.